And this is what I was thinking. You know what, man? I thought if Joe Biden wins, then this whole country is going to go so far woke, so fast, your head will spin, and no one will do anything about it. But if Trump wins, the insane woke people will start some kind of civil war. I think that
they'll try.
No. Listen. If Biden wins, then all of these conservatives and all of these people who are complaining about the stuff will sit on their hands and say, "Oh well, I don't like it." And they'll do nothing about it. Nothing will happen.
No, you're wrong, because you already said earlier when we were talking about what California is doing, when they come for the elites' children, the elites will make a difference and change and fight it. That's just the beginning.
That was from James Lindsay, who said, "I think I saw the beginning of the end of this."
I know, but I think there's some truth in that, though.
I do.
Because the people who make the most money, they like the status quo if they continue making the most money, because they can pay for whatever security they need. They can pay to have food brought in for wherever they want. It doesn't affect them. But when it starts affecting them, they're going to be like, okay, we're going to make a difference now.
I will agree with you if they cancel Yale. Do you know about that campaign?
Yeah.
If they actually get Eli, how do you pronounce his name? Elihu? Yale? He was one of the most brutal slave traders. Maybe not the most brutal, but dude was brutal.
Okay.
He passed a law that every boat leaving Madras in India had to carry at least 10 slaves for any reason.
Wow.
So it's like, could you, it's like, it's one thing to have slavery. It's another thing to be like, nope. Every boat. It's like, but sir, we're just a transport. 10 slaves.
That's what you're transporting
it's like,
now.
We're literally just like a couple fishermen. 10 slaves. Got to do it. That's what that guy was doing. And he's Yale. So a bunch of conservatives have been like, cancel Yale. Will they? Right. Will any activists show up to pull down Yale statue?
Right.
I really doubt it.
I doubt it.
Exactly. Because these people are off limits for some reason. The privileged elites are immune.
Yep, exactly.
So they will come for your football.
So when will the hypocrisy reach them and make something click? It's not.
You know what, man? Regular Americans might vote for Trump. This stuff might scare them. And I was thinking about...
It is scaring them.
We don't know that.
I think so.
According to the multiple polls, of support for Black Lives Matter is up like 28 points in the past month.
Okay.
If we actually take the polls for what they're worth, then Trump is down immensely, and people immensely support Black Lives Matter.
And who's doing these polls?
A bunch of different companies, universities, newspapers, data analytics firms, and they all show a similar trend.
And if someone had enough money, they can pay to have all these polls say whatever they want.
No.
Okay.
I
think so.
Rasmussen, for instance, said Trump was underwater. Rasmussen's favored Trump the entire time.
Okay.
Like nonstop. So there could be one other factor here. You follow Mike Cernovich and they'll fire you. Mm-hmm. So how many people are going to say yes to a phone call?
Absolutely
Who do you
no
support? No, Joe Biden. Of course. I'm not a big hit. Please. Seriously, please. That's what they're going to say on the phone.
Can't lose my job.
I can't lose my job. When someone's asked, they don't know who you are or what you're calling for. Yeah, Biden, of course. Yeah, I do love Black Lives Matter. You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. And then they go and cry in the corner, and they're going to go pull a lever for Trump.
That's what I think is way more accurate than whatever any poll is saying.
I agree. I agree. However, Hillary Clinton lost because she was hated by everybody. Like the hatred for her was immense, and Trump was able to weaponize that. Joe Biden is sleepy, mumbly bumbly Joe.
He's a freaking pedo, man.
Sure, but
I don't understand how people can't stand him because of all the creepy things that he's
done.
They've
made him out to be a defenseless, pathetic old man.
That you can't even rag on him because he's just a defenseless old man.
Yeah. Well, you can rag on him, but it's sad.
It is sad.
Not anger-inducing.
Yeah.
So what if now the anti-Trump sentiment actually works and people learned their mistake of 2016 by not voting because they thought Hillary was going to win, and they go and vote and Trump loses? I then think all of these culture war people in a similar space to us will just sit back and take all of it.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll
That's one way of seeing it. I see a lot of people going, I am sick of rioters and them taking down statues of history that has taught us what being a bad person versus being a good person, that shows us we've learned from our history and gotten to here. So now you want to destroy all that history, and all these people, I personally, just talking about myself, I'm pissed.
Me too.
I don't like it. I'm voting for Trump. I'm okay with it. I'm talking about it. Like, I'll openly say it. Like, yeah, I am. I think he is doing a lot of things that I didn't understand, and I didn't like him before. But now over the past 4 or 5 months, how long have we been doing this show?
Month 6.
I am immersing myself in what is going on in the world, and I see it. I'm not an idiot. I'm a logical based person. I follow the logic. I follow, what's actually happening, and I think he's doing a lot of things that we need to had happen. The Democrats work with China. It's like, that scares me. I am frightened of China. They clearly want to control the world. And I think that there's a lot of people that they've paid in America, Democrats mostly, that are trying to undermine America as a whole. And
because they got foreign interests, factories, international companies, conglomerates.
Yes, the corporations that are making all the profit from
International
all the movement of all the product that we all use. And it's like, okay, so if Trump wants to bring that back to the States, no wonder he's been Orange Man bad for the whole 4 or 5 years that he's been in the media.
He's pulling cash out of their pockets, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
The tariffs.
Hello. Yes.
Yep.
It's like it's so obvious to me now. So it's like I'm seeing it. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not an idiot anymore, and I like to believe that a lot of people my age that are coming of like the coming of age of coming out of being in your bubble to realizing what life is like.
It's like the bell curve of life. You're in your mid-30s, you're starting to, this is where you're going to be.
They call it being red-pilled.
Sure.
And and I would never go back because I like being informed.
It's like as soon as someone opened the window and you looked outside, you said, "Oh, I'm voting Trump."
Yeah.
It's like
basically.
I think it's funny that, people keep saying things like, who have they said? I'm one of the slowest red pills ever.
You are.
No, that's
no, they are saying it about you.
I know, but that's ridiculous. It's like the other people have made a better point that I'm dishing out red pills every day. I just don't take my own supply or whatever.
You don't go high.
And I'm like, no. You got to understand, man.
Yeah, but you try to be an unbiased source of. I mean, you are a little bit biased in certain issues.
I try to be right. I try to make sure I have the facts straight before giving my opinion.
And
that's using logic.
Right.
To find the truth.
And so here's the issue of
that's legit. That's why I respect you.
The issue of what is red pilled versus what isn't. I mean, for one, people have different definitions.
True.
But the sad reality is right now, all the red pill folks, you just happen to be more right. That's it. I'm not here to say I support this tribe. I'm here to say, well, as the chips lie, this tends to be the correct path.
Yep.
And during Occupy Wall Street, it was the other way. The attacks on Occupy and the things that people said about them was just mostly, a lot of it was BS. And so I said, well, actually, no, here's what happened. And then I ended up getting a lot of like libertarian support. And that's the thing, like the biggest group of like the self-identifying group that follows my content are libertarians, mostly like center-right libertarian.
Yeah. Is
like the biggest. Then it's like, I don't know if I think it's Trump supporters after that. Then politically homeless, like moderate types.
Yeah.
We did a survey. So anyway, for the most part, I guess to go back to the main point is I agree with you that people are angry and scared.
Yeah.
But will that be enough to defeat the zombie hordes? 65 million voted for Hillary last time.
Yeah, when I said they're going to come they're going to leave the cities and start trying to run rampant, and they're going to reach small town America, and they're not going to like what they find. They're going to be told to get out.
But they don't have to go to small town America.
Why not?
If they can control all cultural institutions, then there's nothing that small town America can do about anything. What are they going to do?
Keep their food? Stop sending food around?
But why would they do that? They need stuff from the cities too.
Like, what do they need from the cities?
Well, the cities are like the intelligence hubs for large manufacturing and major corporations.
Well, there's going to be a huge shift in America, man, and listen, I don't know where it's going to be, but it feels like two big trucks playing chicken, screaming at each other, and one's Democrat, one's Republicans, and it's like
what the left is doing.
It's going to be a crash, whatever happens.
The left doesn't need to go to the rural areas, so long as the rural people keep bending the knee and giving in to whatever the left says, there will not be a civil war. That's why I think if Trump wins, the left will incite it.
They're already trying to incite everything right now.
Sure,
so
and
like,
there's no reason.
What's the difference?
But listen. There's no reason for the conservatives to go into New York to stop the riots, so they just happen.
Right.
So if Trump wins, the left is going to go nuts and bring it to D.C. And then, there's going to be hot pocket areas where violence breaks out, worse than we've ever seen. But if Biden wins, then the left will be emboldened. If tomorrow AOC wins re-election, the progressive far left cultists will be emboldened, and she's probably going to win. I think she will We'll see, though. There's a lot of good reasons to suggest she might lose her primary tomorrow to Michelle Crusoe Cabrera.
Yeah, I don't know. We weren't able to see the discussion she had.
That's
Yeah,
right.
AOC banned the press from her debate.
I wonder why.
These people
'Cause
are,
she's worried.
listen, and no one has done anything.
Yep.
So I'm not talking, I don't look, I get it, right? It's like, what do you even do, right? Tom Cotton came out today and said the DOJ must go after those who are tearing down statues.
I agree with him.
I completely agree. Why did it take so long? Where's everybody else? Where's Rand Paul even? Has he brought it up?
Seriously, I
Come
don't
on,
know.
man. The first thing, if I saw someone, man, the first day I saw Thomas Jefferson get torn down, I was livid.
Yep.
And I made a video about it.
Yep.
Could you imagine being a politician and being like, well, they're tearing down Thomas Jefferson. Anyway, what are you guys doing for lunch?
Yeah.
I'd be screaming. I'd get up and I would yell and point the finger at each and every one of these people and I would say, what are you
Flip the
doing?
table.
Yep.
Time to flip some tables. That's what Crowder was saying.
Yeah.
Reference to Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, you ask
the money
ask
changers.
any one of my friends who I would be voting for this year, they probably wouldn't guess Trump. They would have no idea.
That's flipping the table, bro.
I'm flipping the table, man. I don't like it.
That's a good analogy. I really do like it. You know the story? Like he went to the temple and the money changers are there and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, "Wah." I don't know the gist of the full story, but
He
that's just,
braided a whip.
whoa, wait, what?
Yeah. Oh, he took his time. He braided a whip and he flipped the tables and he chased the money changers out of the temple. He was not messing around. Very peaceful.
Man, we totally didn't get into the super chats.
Wow.
It's 9:50.
I know.
Oh.
We got to read it. We got
Yeah,
it.
But
we
we
have
had
to-
a good long conversation, so I
Yeah.
apologize for everybody.
I do not apologize at all.
No apologies.
There's good
Everything
stuff.
that we've been saying needs to be said.
That's true.
Needs to be talked about.
True.
People need to be having this kind of conversation.
But I do want to
with everybody.
I
A
do wanna-
logical based conversation, not a battlefield. That's all it is. Everyone wants to start battles. I don't want to have a battle with you. I want to talk to you. I want to understand your position.
Dude, they
You
don't.
try to-
They don't.
Yes, they want to battle. That's what I'm saying. They
And-
want to
and-
have a battle.
I know.
That's
So-
exactly what I just said. So don't say no.
No, I'm saying
Say yes.
you want to have
Tell me
conversations
right
with these
now.
people.
Say yes.
No.
I do. I want to have conversations with people.
I
That's what I
believe
want
you.
for people.
Right.
So don't tell me no, Tim.
No, I'm not telling you no
Anyway,
that you don't want to have conversations.
moving on to
I'm saying
Super
these
Chats.
people don't. And there is nothing you can do to make them
I
do
know
it.
that. You're right. Because that's what.
So it
the
doesn't really matter if
extremes-
you want to, Adam.
The extremes. Yeah, well, I will never lose my optimism.
Right.
I will never lose that part of me that wants to help anyone. And that's another issue. People are like, you know what? You're a lost cause. Why should I even bother? I'll tell you why. Because people see that. And then it's like, you know what? If he's going to try, maybe I should try. And then if someone else sees it, you know what? That's a good point. Maybe I should try. Maybe I should try to make a difference. Maybe I should talk to those people. What about the man who went to who converted like 100 and 200 people, KKK members? What's his name?
Daryl Davis.
Daryl Davis.
Right.
What a boss.
All he did
If
was hang out
someone
with
said to him, those people don't want to know what you're saying. They you can't change their mind. If he said, you know what, you're right. I'm going to quit. I'm not going to go try and talk to them. And he didn't do that. Boom. But he was like, you know what? I'm going to go talk to these people. Hey, man, you want to go drive in that fancy car? And the guy was like, what? Blew his mind away.
That's actually-
It's about making a connection with
Right.
people. They need to realize that we're all the same.
But that's actually a really strong indictment of what the left is.
What?
That Daryl Davis was able to actually go hang out with Klan members.
Yeah.
And if you go to an Antifa group or you go to Chaz,
You can't chill.
they dragged a man through the street in Chaz.
Yeah.
They dragged him. They choked him
Street
out.
Preacher.
That's freaky.
Yeah, and my uncle got shot and killed by
How do you
a
reason with
black
that?
person.
If
Does
you-
that mean I'm a racist now? Because I'm going to equate that to all black people everywhere? No, I'm not going to do
That's
that.
not what I'm saying.
It's very similar.
No, I'm saying that Daryl Davis went to Klan members
Right.
and started talking to them.
Right, but there's people in Chaz that will refuse that, right? You're saying that, well, look, but there's people that will drag you through the streets. And it's like, okay, so that one person that's going to drag people through the streets, that's going to be that I'm going to stop because that one person is an a-hole.
No, I'm saying if you went and tried to talk to him, you get the crap beaten out of you.
Well, I'm not going to go to Chaz. I have zero interest in going to Chaz.
So then don't compare it to Daryl Davis, who did go and meet with Klan members.
Okay, well, I'm doing what I can. I'm here. I have a
For sure.
I have a show. I could talk about the beliefs that I have.
For sure.
So I'm doing it in my own way.
So
this
when
this is my platform.
When the conversations tried to happen in Occupy over
Okay.
these very things, you know what
Yep.
they did? Facilitators showed up and started chanting. And then everyone started chanting, and then everything shut down. And that's a tactic they use specifically to make sure the conversations can't happen, whether any good-natured people want to happen or not.
Well,
so I do believe there are a lot of good people that you can talk to, because I've talked to my friends about stuff. I've explained things to them, and they come around and understand certain points. But if you go to these events and go to these meetings, they'll get physical. Because look, man, these people, the people organizing this stuff, believe it or not, are well read. Not the average person there. They understand like rules for radicals.
Yep.
They understand cult manipulation techniques, and they understand how you, by having these conversations, are trying to subvert them. So they called Daryl Davis a white supremacist, quite literally, at the event I put on.
That's crazy.
He tried to talk to them. Get this. He posted about it on Facebook. The man who was able to meet with 200 Klansmen and de-radicalize them tried going over to these activists to talk to him, and they started screaming Nazi and white supremacist at him. And he posted on Facebook, what the hell was this?
Yeah.
And his Facebook post got like 30,000 shares of people being like, whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The guy who could de-radicalize the Klan couldn't even have a conversation with these people.
These are the people who are reeing the loudest because they are desperate for attention. They are desperate for a connection. They want to be a part of something because they're not. And a majority of people are a part of something already. They have their life that they're a part of. So when these people that are reeing, that you're saying are you can't even question them, you can't talk to them. You know, when they start coming to try to spread that message, they're gonna meet confidence. They're gonna meet someone who's confident, and they're gonna be like, "Bah!" And that confident person is gonna be like, "Get out of my way," and keep moving forward.
Well, what do you mean with that? Like,
I'm talking about the majority of Americans. You keep trying to. It almost feels like you're convinced that this minority of people. It is a minority. It's a minority of a minority.
8%.
No, it's not even an 8% because it's less than that. The people that are actually like psycho crazy that can't be changed. It can't be 8%. But those people, sure, you can't change that. But there's 92% of the rest of us that are like, these people are crazy. We're gonna have a normal conversation and move forward in life. And
then why every single major corporation bends the knee? Every single video game bends the knee.
Because they want money. They want the money. They don't want to lose. And
they're losing money. Get woke, go broke is a meme because
Yes.
they burn down so often.
Yeah, because
and there are very few moments.
They're clueless. They're clueless. That's the thing. They are so far away from the average person that they have no idea what's going on. They're like, oh, I should put up a rainbow flag because that means we're not against the gays. And it's like, what? Like, what? And if you didn't, does that mean you're against it? And in Oakland, right, they would smash your window in if you didn't have. And it's like, man.
So they're not getting money. They're trying to save their own lives. So regular people who are not crazy,
they're clueless.
Regular people who are not crazy are getting on their knees and begging for safety.
And that's because they're not having the kind of conversations that we're having. And that's my point. Because when people start having conversations like this, not battles, conversations, talking, give me your point. I want your point of view. Give me your point of view. I'll give you my point of view. Let's converse. Let's become stronger from that. That's lost. But social media, we've been told for years, you could be anything you want. Shoot for the stars. You're special. You can do whatever you put your mind to. And it's like, sure, but you have to work for it. You aren't special. We're ants on this earth. You got to work. You got to get up and do work if you want to be anything.
These conversations have been happening in circles like the intellectual dark web,
okay,
and on shows like Joe Rogan, where the biggest podcast in the world routinely rags
podcast in the world
is completely unable to stop the rapid transformation of society and the destruction of our founding fathers and the general who defeated the Confederates.
Dude.
Even though the Joe Rogan podcast has been around for a decade and he's hosted Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro and the Weinstein brothers and Dave Rubin and Crowder, and we've had these conversations over and over and over again. Every single American who is not in that 8% fringe gets on their knees and says, please leave me alone whenever someone comes to them and threatens their job. They will not stand up for themselves. That's what I've been saying about what they need to do. People need to do something, and the first step is telling your boss, shut up or I quit. But they won't.
I almost said it.
Video games get made that are ridiculous, that have insane plots and insane ideologies. People complain about it. They get called Nazis in the press.
Yep.
And the regular people know it's crazy. They're watching their cities burn down. And then what happens when they rip down Thomas Jefferson? Nothing.
You're
and
right.
the Democrats in New York City are calling now for Thomas Jefferson to be removed from the New York City Council chamber. And where are our politicians? Where are the regular Americans, the silent majority, to stand up and say, we'll be silent no longer? Nowhere to be found. What are they going to do? They're going to go in the voting booth and say, I'm going to pull the lever for Trump, who in the past 4 years has been unable to stop any of this. We've had a great economy. A lot of people made a lot of money. And what's happened? It's been worse. So here's what I think is going to happen. If Trump wins, the left will go insane and burn it all to the ground. And regular people will hide in their homes with their newly found love of guns. And they'll say, oh no, what do we do? And the left will probably gain tons of ground and go insane. And people will say, please leave me alone. And if Joe Biden wins, they'll take over all our cultural institutions. They'll put psychotic and insane definitions in our dictionary. And they will take over. And regular Americans will say, please, for the love of God, just leave me alone. And they never will. They'll never stop coming. They will take your job away. They will come for your parents. You will do something wrong. They'll fire your mom. They'll come to your house with fireworks and guns, and Americans will still just say, please, just leave me alone. And that's how it is. Even in the Revolutionary War, most people, the largest majority of people, were non-initiated. There was a small faction saying no revolution. There was a larger faction saying revolution, and the bulk said, please just leave me alone. So long as we've been dealing with the psychotic cancel culture, and I've been hearing about people like James Lindsay saying this, and Coleman Hughes saying, I get messages all the time from people saying this is insane and must stop. Well, where are you to stand up at your job and tell your boss to shut up when he says, I'm going to put out this bland brand message that panders to these woke lunatics? Where are you to say, if you do that, I quit? They say, fine, quit. Okay, I will. And I'll go start my own company. Nowhere to be found. So we have these conversations, and what happens? I'm under threat from being banned every single day. I just had a video today labeled as hate speech. And when I asked them to overturn it, they said, not this one. You're on thin ice. But don't worry, Tim, you mostly play by the rules. We're okay with what you say. So how long until they cut my channel off? And they've been doing it over and over again for the past several years, and people are nowhere to be found. Now, of course, they go online and they'll post things. But then when it comes to their real life job, when it comes to the woke mob coming for them, they just bend the knee and they beg, please, woke lunatics, just don't hurt me and I'll leave you alone. I'll let you have whatever you want because I don't care about the future for my children. I don't care about where this country goes. I don't care about all the statues they've just destroyed. And then what happens? The Republicans, nowhere to be found.
You're absolutely right.
I have no confidence in any of these people to do anything. I can sit here all day and guess what? Smack talk me all day and night. Say, Tim Pool, all you do is complain about things. You're completely right. But at least I quit my job. When I worked for Disney and they said, lie to the public, I said, fuck you. And I told them, cut my contract off. And they said, no. Welcome to the golden handcuffs, Tim. You got one more year under lock and key. And then I said, okay, well, I'm not going to do what you want. And then finally it came to August and I said, bye-bye, I'm going to go do my own thing. And guess what? It worked. So where the fuck is everybody else? Nowhere to fucking be found. Congratulations, we're demonetized. I don't give a shit at this point. No one is doing anything. And for years, I've routinely said, you need to stand up for yourself and tell these people to back off. And you won't do it. Maybe you guys will, but most people won't. So there's people online complaining all day and night. Yep. Okay, walk away. Stop. They won't do it. So why should I have any confidence after a decade of this? I'm willing to walk away and go live in the woods when all this just falls apart. I walked away from working with a Disney company that was offering to pay me fat cash if I just played ball.
Yep.
And I said, no, I won't do it. And you know what they did at that company? They called me a white supremacist. The white people at this company who are getting fat cash from Disney called me, the mixed race guy, the white supremacist.
Yep.
And I didn't care. I said, dude, you know what, man, my worst case scenario is I go and skate and mind my own business.
Why do you think so many people want you to get into office? Because it's people like you who see the issue. And even me, like you and I, we've had enough of these conversations to be sick of these kind of people. I agree with everything you said. You're absolutely right. They should be standing up. And if you have an issue with what's going on in our government, get into government. Take over the system. Let's change the system. You know, it's like I am going to remain optimistic. It's just in my nature. So but I agree. I agree with what you're saying. You're right. People aren't standing up. You know, I keep saying like, well, they're gonna finally hit those Americans that are gonna, you know, show them what's for. Yeah, but it's like, but you got a good point. They're not fighting. These statues are being ripped down.
One guy showed up.
One guy showed up,
Mexico.
and they attacked him, and he shot a person for it. It's like,
and that's bad, and I don't want that to happen.
I don't want anyone to get shot either.
I don't want people to go out and engage in physical conflict.
Absolutely not.
Right now, people need to stand up in their schools, in their jobs, and say no.
Damn straight.
But they won't.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Because I don't know.
Privilege.
Because we're comfortable. Because society has left everyone comfortable. In their comfortable little world, they don't understand what we have anymore. It's not cherished. We don't appreciate what we have. It is the norm. And that's the issue. Everyone thinks that this is just what life is like. This is what life is. You have a house. You have a toilet. You have food at the store. That's where the food comes from. The store. It's like, no. It's society as a whole that's brought us here. And we've learned a lot in our past. And we have to use that to help us get to the future. And people aren't having that conversation.
I think when you look at the fact that the biggest podcast in the world, which just did this massive $100 million deal,
Okay.
Joe Rogan routinely calls these people out and rags on them.
Yeah.
The fact that Donald Trump won shows that there is a large group of people in this country that are sick of this. And then I think it also shows that as this stuff continues to expand and encroach, these are the people who won't do anything about it. So you look at the fact that they ransacked a bunch of major cities where a lot of these people who hate this stuff live.
Yeah.
You look at the fact that they flat out said that they're going to put a man in front, the potential for death row, because he did his job as an officer and defended himself against someone who stole his weapon.
It's crazy.
No one protested for that. No one's protesting right now. A video was released where they're like, this is a disgrace. What happens when you have a guy in St. Louis? I don't know the exact story, but it was an armed robbery. He had a gun, and he engaged in a firefight with the cops. Cops killed him. They rioted for it. And because of that, they won. And people then started giving them what they wanted. But the rest of us we don't do this. And for good reason. Riots are bad. It's not what we want. But what I'm saying is we've come to the point where they've smashed all the windows. They've said your churches are no longer allowed. They've welded the gates shut to Jewish playgrounds. And they've spat in your face and laughed the whole time. And still, what do people do? Please just leave me alone. They've literally put
complacency. It's their comfortable
fear.
Bubble.
It's fear.
And I just want to be left alone in my little bubble.
I don't want to lose my job.
I just want to be comfortable. I just want to live my life. That's what everybody wants.
Yep. So I'm not confident. I'm not confident Trump is going to win. And if the polls are accurate, then maybe what we believe in, civil libertarianism, the things that we talk about, liberty, don't tread on me, the right to freedom of free speech and expression, they may be already dead. You look at who YouTube props up, who makes it to these big commercials. You look at the fact that Colin Kaepernick went through 3 years of being in a negative position, sort of.
Yeah.
But he still got a Nike deal. And now they're talking about re-signing him. He won. He's going to win in the end. His whole shtick for manipulation and for bucks is going to work out for him. You look at all of these video game companies, and they've just kept pushing through. No matter how much people said this is whack and I don't like it, they're like, we don't care what you like, and we don't care if we burn out and make no money. So get woke, go broke is not a law, but it is a tendency. And so you look at these companies that are willing to lose money and just keep doing it. And then eventually they'll be right, I guess. But the people who are demanding it don't have money. And then it ends up just happening. And so, when you look at The Last of Us 2, you have a narrative which does not reflect the majority of how people view the world.
Sure.
But so long as they keep smashing this in your face, eventually you just give up and say, fine, please, I'll take whatever you make me take. And so there it is. They're going to ban hate speech. Right now, California is going to repeal they voted to repeal the civil rights provision from their constitution. How much longer will our understanding of the First Amendment exist? The right to free speech. How long until they rule, well, hate speech actually isn't, because the UN already said so. In Europe, they already said so. Mm-hmm. So how long till in the US, when they say the Supreme Court rules, what happens if Biden wins and they put on a bunch of liberal justices who then rule, free speech does not include derogatory statements made about someone based on their protected status. And then free speech is void because everything is offensive.
Right.
Well, then if it happens, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go live in a van down by the river, I guess. but at least I quit my job. I refuse to stand for it. I don't think there's a position where I can go out and protest or anything.
Yeah.
But I've made it my point to constantly talk about these issues as they get worse, and to tell people how bad it's getting.
Yeah.
But when I worked for this company, and they told me to lie, I said no. And they were like, well, you have to. I said, no, I don't. You can cut my contract off right now. And they're like, well, how about we talk about it in a few months? And then they literally just had me do nothing. So we were trying to do this show when I was working for, supposed to be working for a different company.
Yeah, we met the CEO. He was all about it. He was like, yeah, you should do it.
He didn't want this conversation to happen.
No,
he was like, well, our audience is progressive, so we want to side with them, whatever they want.
Yes.
And that's where you end up. He was wrong, by the way. The company went up in flames. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify. And we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.